between our two countries. That is why this is the greatest alliance for prosperity and security I think the world has ever seen. Whenever necessary, we absolutely backed each other up, and that's at the core.
Could you take on Russia by yourselves?
Well,
all right, one or two more. Yes.
Keir Starmer's political career is on the brink of collapse. His reputation has been shattered by a public attack from two of the most powerful and controversial figures on the global stage. In a stunning twist, US President Donald Trump has gone after Starmer in a way no one expected. And if that wasn't explosive enough, Katie Hopkins is joining in turning up the heat and exposing Starmer's darkest secrets. Publicly humiliated, Starmer now faces not just the fury of his domestic rivals, but an international showdown.
It's batshit bonkers Britain, and today the Met Police are institutionally racist, spelt with a W and a Y, because they stop and search 3 times as many black people as they do white people. I mean, a couple things on that. You know, you'd be lucky to find a white person in London these days. You'd have to hunt one down if you wanted to stop one. And secondly, statistically, it's actually kind of accurate. I mean, you definitely can't say this, but 61% of knife crimes are committed by black people and 48% of murders are committed by black people, even though they only represent 13% of the wider population. But again, can't say any of that or you'll definitely be cancelled. In other news, Andrew and Tristan Tate on a private jet headed to the free state of Florida. And some newfound freedom. Good on the boys. I shall be drinking leftist tears as they blub about it and raising a toast to the boys, having a bit of a fun time in Florida and hopefully also in Mar-a-Lago.
Trump's shocking move imposing a 10% tariff on the UK shook the entire nation. But how did it all unfold, and what does it mean for Starmer's leadership? Donald Trump is never one to shy away from controversy, and his latest move has just thrown the UK into political turmoil.
And if I may, Prime Minister, do you think that Vladimir Putin is a man who will keep his word? Thanks.
He tried. He was working hard, I'll tell you that. He earned whatever the hell they pay him over there. But he tried. I think there's a very good chance that in the case of these two great friendly countries, I think we could very well end up with a real trade deal where the tariffs wouldn't be necessary. We'll see. But he earned whatever they pay him. He earned today. He was working hard at lunch, and I'm very receptive to it. I think in all fairness, in all seriousness, I think we have a very good chance at arriving at a very good deal. JD and Scott and...
It wasn't enough for him to criticise Keir Starmer from afar, as many political figures might do. Now, Trump has gone one step further. He has publicly rejected Starmer's leadership, and in a move that has sent shockwaves through UK politics, he has announced a 10% tariff on all UK...
in Downing Street, and it feels like there has been some credit given to Keir Starmer, but the fact it's 10% less than others. But I can't help thinking that, has any of this actually made any difference? Because they've got a very clear way that they've calculated it, which lots of people think is completely kind of crazy, but that they have got a system. So we've just fallen part of that. It isn't really anything that Keir Starmer's done.
Well, look, I mean, they're still optimistic that some sort of better deal than this can be done. And while there's hope, there's still a point in trying. And yeah, I think Keir Starmer's played Trump as well as he could. He hasn't done the posturing from the sidelines. He hasn't done the shouting and the easy denunciation going, yay, we don't like Donald Trump. You know, he's trying to get a good outcome. He's trying to get a good outcome in terms of our values and our national interest. But I think he would accept that right now we haven't got that. We haven't got the security deal with America to guarantee European security. We haven't got a trade deal with America. And there will come a point, at some point, if it carries on like this, with Trump putting a wrecking ball not just for European security, world security, putting a wrecking ball for the European economy and world security, the world economy, when there is a moment when I think Keir Starmer has to look at this as a reset moment. You know, I know at least one cabinet minister who thinks, yeah, if you're going to do a big reset with Europe, if you're going to have to raise taxes to pay for extra defence, if you're going to have to look at, again, the fiscal rules.
This is no ordinary diplomatic slap. It's a punishment, a direct strike at the heart of Starmer's credibility and the UK's economy. But why now? Why target Starmer? In his typically blunt style, Trump has made it crystal clear that his decision stems from his deep dissatisfaction with Starmer's handling of key international matters, particularly free speech, justice reform, and his handling of Britain's most controversial domestic issues. Starmer, who's worked hard to maintain a polished, pragmatic image as Labour leader, now finds himself the target of a political firing squad from both sides of the Atlantic. But it's not just about tariffs, it's about power.
To all of the foreign presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, ambassadors, and everyone else who will soon be calling to ask for exemptions from these tariffs, I say, terminate your own tariffs, drop your barriers, don't manipulate your currencies. They manipulate their currencies like nobody can even believe, which is a bad, bad thing and very devastating to us, and start buying tens of billions of dollars of American goods. Tariffs give our country protection against those that would do us economic harm. And many people were looking to do us economic harm. Maybe not so obviously, but they were doing tremendous economic harm. But even more importantly, they will give us growth. These tariffs are going to give us growth like you haven't seen before. And it'll be something very special to watch. I am so looking forward. And Brian, it's going to happen even faster than you said. You know, you might say, but it's already started. It's already started.
Trump is using this move to assert dominance, to show that he still holds influence, even from across the ocean. His decision isn't just about trade, it's a statement of intent. By slapping tariffs on the UK, Trump is sending a message not only to Starmer but to the world. I hold the cards and I can influence the global stage.
I just signed a letter to him. He asked for a meeting and I agreed to the meeting. We're going to have a friendly meeting. Very good. We have a lot of good things going on. But he asked to come and see me and I just accepted his asking.
Do you have a date for that, sir? And what do you hope to
Very soon. I think he wants to come next week or the week after.
And what do you hope to discuss?
I don't know. It was his request, not mine. But, you know, I've met him twice already. We get along very well.
For a leader already under pressure from his domestic critics, this move could be the final nail in the coffin. What's more, it's not just the 10% tariffs that have the UK reeling. Trump's public humiliation of Starmer has already begun. In interviews, Trump hasn't minced words. He's called Starmer weak, indecisive, and out of touch with the working-class people of the UK. Trump even accused him of failing to take a firm stand on some of the most significant issues facing the country, like the grooming gang scandals and the government's stunts on free speech. Trump doesn't just critique Starmer's policies, he questions his very integrity as a leader. But Trump's public shaming doesn't stop there. As Starmer scrambles to respond, another voice enters the fray. Katie Hopkins, a figure known for her unapologetic controversial takes, Hopkins sees this as her moment to take down Starmer once and for all. She's quick to join the narrative, amplifying Trump's criticisms and adding her vitriolic spin.
But for decent Brits, ordinary Brits, working Brits, to have Trump elected and know that Americans made that happen, working Americans, to have Elon on Twitter saying things, we'll be arrested if we said stuff, we have people knocking on the doors, police knock on your doors over a Facebook post. Elon's just there dropping hand grenades. Trump hasn't invited Keir Starmer to the inauguration because he knows what Keir Starmer is. He's not having anything to do with our foreign secretary because our foreign secretary is despicable, and he's going to reject our ambassador to the US because Trump already knows that he's a piece of work as well. For ordinary Brits to be heard and to be seen is just so remarkable, and it's why I'm so happy. I'm so happy for Americans, and I'm so happy for British people as well.
For Hopkins, this is more than just politics, it's personal. She attacks Starmer for his lack of spine, accusing him of being more concerned with political correctness than with confronting the real issues facing ordinary Britons. In her usual no-holds-barred style, Hopkins doesn't hesitate to call out Starmer for his perceived weakness in dealing with the grooming gang scandals, a subject she knows ignites fury in the hearts of many in the UK. The pressure on Starmer is mounting. He now finds himself not just facing criticism from his own country's opposition, but also from two global powerhouses in Trump and Hopkins, who have decided to go after him with all guns blazing. For Starmer, this isn't just an attack on his political views, it's an assault on his credibility as a leader. Can he survive this onslaught? Will he have the strength to face these international attacks and come out unscathed? Or will the weight of the political storm prove too much to handle? As if Trump's fiery public rejection wasn't enough, the situation escalated with Katie Hopkins stepping into the fray. Hopkins, known for her hard-hitting, often controversial opinions, has seized the moment to pile on the pressure, offering a scathing critique of Keir Starmer's leadership. But this isn't just another political jab. Hopkins is diving deep into Starmer's failures, targeting the very foundation of their career and his public persona. She doesn't just call Starmer out for his political shortcomings, she delves into his past, exposing the cracks that many hoped would stay hidden. She views Starmer as a man who wears a suit and preaches unity, but behind that polished facade lies a leader who has failed time and time again to protect the people who need him most. Hopkins declares in a blistering video that quickly went viral. Her words echo across social media, igniting fury amongst Starmer's supporters and critics alike. One of her most vicious attacks focuses on Starmer's handling of the grooming gang scandals. It's a topic that has sparked outrage across the UK, especially after Starmer's tenure as Director of Public Prosecutions. His critics argue that under Starmer's watch, there was a failure to adequately pursue justice for the victims of these heinous crimes. Hopkins seized on this to accuse Starmer of being complicit in silencing the voices of the victims to protect political interests. Keir Starmer, Hopkins says with scorn, is the man who turned a blind eye when the truth needed to be heard. He chose silence over justice, and now the people of Britain are paying the price for it. The accusations hit hard, resonating deeply with those who have long been frustrated with the Labour Party's failure to confront the issue head-on. It's not just about policy, it's about the perceived betrayal of the very people Starmer is supposed to represent. And as if the political fallout from this alone wasn't damaging enough, Katie Hopkins doesn't stop there. She takes it further, questioning Starmer's integrity on a personal level. Do you trust a man who spent his entire career covering up the truth? She challenges her followers. Do you want a leader who's willing to sell out the British people just to protect his own political career? Hopkins taps into the growing sense of distrust that many Brits feel toward their leaders.
I mean, there will be some job losses in particularly in automobile industries, steel and the like, which face 25% tariffs, not just the 10% tariffs. But realistically, we don't need any help committing economic suicide because we've got net zero and Rachel Reeves to do that for us.
Well, I mean, this is the problem. I mean, energy and the whole way that we're handling the net zero thing is just causing more and more problems. They're stacking up. And unless unless the Prime Minister finally decides that, his Secretary of State for Energy, the Green, Ed Miliband, is actually, not working now. It's not in our interest to continue this ridiculous drive to get this way ahead of any other country, when in the end, the ordinary people are suffering from higher costs. And it's just, more and more people are really waking up to the fact, I think, that the whole net zero is based upon the idea that somehow we in the United Kingdom, by changing a few things that are causing huge problems for ordinary people's livelihoods and standards of living, that we're going to save the world from some kind of climate eruption. It really isn't something now that I think people are beginning to wake up to it.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm so pleased that they are. It's interesting. Sort of a lot of the Labour.
You've been pushing this for a very long time.
I have. A lot of Labour supporting trade unions are basically saying, look, this is about jobs fundamentally.
She knows how to amplify these feelings, using Starmer's perceived inaction to build a narrative of a man who is out of touch, more concerned with keeping his political allies happy than addressing the real issues that plague the country. But what really stings is that Starmer, who once prided himself on being a man of principle, is now being exposed by someone like Hopkins, an outsider with no fear of speaking the truth. Hopkins doesn't hold back, reminding everyone of Starmer's history of compromising on critical issues for the sake of political expediency.
One of the reasons we're in such a dire economic state is because we keep cutting public investment. I think everyone knows you can't grow your own economy if your infrastructure is crumbling, if your roads aren't working, if your public transport links don't work, and that is the approach we've had over the last 10 years. It's not just public investment in our infrastructure, it's investment in our public services. And when you think about the problems the country is facing, both if you're someone waiting to get a GP appointment, but also if you're a business facing skills shortages, that's because of the lack of investment in our NHS over the long term. It's about the lack of investment in our skills system, and that lack of public investment and investment in our public services, we have to recognise is why when we talk about, oh, the public finances are in a bad position, is because that's the approach we've been taking for the last decade.
She highlights his previous lack of action on Brexit and his failure to address the crisis in the NHS, both of which have become key talking points in the growing discontent against him. Hopkins also brings up the growing frustration with Starmer's flip-flopping stance on immigration just when it seemed like he was finding his feet as a leader. She pointed out that he has failed to take a clear stance on border control, leaving many in the UK questioning whether he has the backbone to protect the nation's interests.
I'm bringing management of the NHS back into democratic control by abolishing the arm's-length body NHS England. That will put the NHS back at the heart of government where it belongs, freeing it to focus on patients, less bureaucracy, with more money for nurses, an NHS refocused on cutting waiting times at your hospital.
So the biggest question for Starmer and Labour is, can they ever recover from the damage caused by his disastrous leadership? And what does the future hold for a nation that has been humiliated on the world stage by Trump's tariffs and Katie Hopkins's unrelenting criticism? If you enjoyed this political firestorm, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating political content.